Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. Now, I got a news story for you, and it's from Star News Online. It's a Wilmington news article. It's a Wilmington newspaper. This is the online version, of course, and it's about African American unemployment hit a record low in December. All right, years of steady hiring and economic growth have delivered a cumulative benefit for at least one group that hasn't always shared in America's prosperity. The unemployment rate for African Americans fell to 6.8% in December, the lowest level since the government began tracking such data in 1972. The reasons range from a greater number of black Americans with college degrees to a growing need for employers in a tight job market to widen the pool of people they hire from. So isn't that something? That finally in 2017, after they hire a ton of people and now they have to struggle to find someone to hire, now they finally say, okay, now let's go hire the blackies now. So of course, that's because of racial discrimination. Still, the rate for black workers remains well above those for whites and some other groups, something experts attribute in large part to decades of discrimination and disadvantages. Robust job creation has lowered unemployment for all Americans. U.S. employers added nearly 2.1 million jobs in 2017, the seventh straight year that hiring has topped 2 million. The U.S. economy gained a hefty 5.7 million jobs in 2014 and 2015 alone. Of course, this article is not going to talk about how all these jobs are shitty fast food and retail jobs that don't pay jack shit, and they're close to minimum wage jobs. And even though they added all these jobs in the economy, the average incomes for the working class people hasn't gone up at all. So in a way, they're trying to lead you on into saying, oh, the job market's good, the economy is good, people are doing well because all these jobs are being added, but that's not the reality. But there are also less happy reasons for the lower unemployment rates. Fewer Americans are either working or looking for work. Of course, you probably heard that people that aren't looking for work aren't counted as unemployed. An aging population means there are more retirees, and young Americans also staying in school longer before job hunting. You should also put down that also older Americans are going back to school to get degrees so they could get that middle class income job that they've been looking for. Because older people now are going to school a lot more than they did 20 plus years ago, so they should include that in there too. Then the rest of this article is a Q&A. Well, one part of this Q&A is really important. It's right here. The best job market for African Americans might actually have been in 2000, when 61.4% of black adults were employed, the highest proportion ever. That figure fell below 52% in the depths of the recession, and is now 57.9%. I also want to talk about whenever I was going to school, because I have a 2-year degree. It's not officially a 2-year degree, but I have a 2-year education for higher education. And whenever I was reading some African American literature back in the 1940s and 1950s, some of the problems that they were having back then are the same problems we're having now. Is that black people were always the first people fired when there was economic problems in that business or in that region or within the country, and they're always the last people to get hired. And this was up in the north too, so northerners were only slightly less racist than southern whites, because besides the slavery thing, they didn't give a shit about black people, and that's the fucking truth. And I also read some comments online every now and then about how a black person would say, oh, well, black people need to help ourselves, and then society in general need to help us out. But that's not necessarily the case, because a lot of the people in positions of power, a lot of people that have the levers of power, all these hiring managers, the CEOs, all these regional managers, and especially the oligarchs, the people that are buying the politicians, most of those people are white. And if they actually want to fix some of the racial issues that are going on in the nation, they're going to actually have to hire black people to their businesses, and they're going to have to actually promote black people within their companies, because that's also a big issue of income inequality and racial discrimination. Is they might hire you, but they sure as the hell ain't gonna fucking give you promotion or two. They want to keep you right at that lowest rung of workers that they have in their company, and that's it. And another issue is white flight. That even a lot of these lefties that talk about, oh yeah, I like black people and brown people, but a few black families move next door or move just down the street from them, they say, oh, I gotta fucking move. So what they gotta do is actually care for black people and brown people and actually live next to them. So they're not gonna just automatically discriminate against them in other ways. Because there's also issues with home loans and how black people usually get higher rates for home loans than white people do. Sometimes they won't get them at all versus white people. Then there's also the issue with even black owners and black owners of small businesses. They're also just not getting as much traffic and as much revenue as profits as white-owned businesses, just because of that racial discrimination. That because the owner's black, people don't really want to buy their products or their services as much, so they don't get as much income and they can't grow as fast as these white-owned businesses. So what we really have to do is we have to really demand our society to treat us as equals. Because maybe in some regions, when it's just a really concentration of black people, then black people can start building up businesses and being able to grow and be able to prosper. But if you're not in a concentration of black people, that might not be the case. And now the same thing's going to go on with Hispanic people, because Hispanics are actually a larger minority than black people are now. So we're going to have these same issues going forward, but it's not as drastic as it is with black people. But the thing is that we really have to demand our society to treat us just as well as any white person. Because that's what they get, so that's what we should get. Especially when they tote that, we're a Christian nation and everybody's created equal. Well, you need to fucking start acting like everybody's equal. But they'll spout out about, everybody's equal. God created everybody equal. But then they want to make sure that this tiered social class with the white people, the hierarchy, and everybody else is right here except for black people are down here. So they need to actually say, you know what, we're going to get rid of this racial hierarchy and treat everybody just as well as white people. And that's fucking it. That's what we need to start demanding and forcing our society to do. And then that'll also help with income inequality and get rid of some of this poverty that's been going on in our society. And even throughout the whole world. Because this isn't just a United States problem. This is a problem throughout the world.